social media in our day and age now has been weaponized as a weapon of war.
This conversation, I was doing research in journalism, and I came across this very interesting quote. I'm not sure where it originates from, but it roughly goes like, news and journalism is something which somebody wants to suppress. The rest is advertising and public relations. And I watched your presentation. I recommend everyone visit Emile's YouTube YouTube channel, and watch his presentation on titled "What is Propaganda, Misinformation, and Disinformation?" He discussed wartime propaganda, and here you noted the mainstream media controlling that space, that narrative, that rhetoric. What role do independent journalists play in combating the state-sponsored mainstream media and in kind of bringing light to this controlled information warfare?
Yeah, and social media in our day and age now has been weaponized as a weapon of war. And like you're saying there, is journalists used to be the gatekeepers of information for all of us pre-social media days or pre-internet days. Is they controlled the information that we received. It was that if that was through the radio, the wireless, or through newspapers or the news on television, they very much controlled the narrative and the rhetoric we were hearing. And we trusted them as gatekeepers to information. Things have changed now with social media in the sense that everyone's now a gatekeeper. Everyone is a citizen journalist. Anyone can report a story. We don't need to look for the mainstream anchors as before. That comes with it's a double-edged weapon. It comes with positives and negatives. It comes with the negative of the fact is that anyone could spread disinformation. That information could be spread very quickly. But it also comes in a positive in the sense that independents aren't controlled by the narrative that their mainstream company wants to tell. And it's simple as, for example, majority probably American watching so far. So you can look at Fox and CNN and the two different agendas and what they support and how they tell their stories and how they report. And that's different to Russia Today, it's different to Al Jazeera, and it's different to BBC, is that every company has an agenda in the sense that it's not maybe not an agenda, but they have a way they want to tell their story. If you're in the UK and you're reading The Guardian, it's very different to reading the Sun newspaper. It's because they've got a target audience. And simple as all media outlets sell adverts. If you're selling adverts, that's how they get majority of their revenue, and that's how they generate profit. And in order to sell them adverts, they need to get eyes on the screen. They need eyes to read them newspapers. So they tell stories they think their audience, their target audience want to say. So if you are like the Guardian newspaper, who has a very left-wing audience, they're going to be exclusively telling stories that they think their audience want to read. So in order to sell them adverts. And that's just the business of the media. Independents don't have that restrictions in the sense that you can tell what you want. But at the same time, as independent, you are under less scrutiny for your work. You can be more subjective because you've got less accountability as an independent than you have as a mainstream. The mainstream media is held more accountable for what they do. But at the same time, there's a lot of disinformation and misinformation that is shared by mainstream. We saw that in 2003 before the lead up to Iraq, the war that happened there. We've seen it on several occasions. We've seen it with what's happening in Syria, which is a classic disinformation campaign that the West had launched for many years. We're seeing it with COVID, and we're also seeing it with the war in Armenia, which is foreign and domestic propaganda.
You're touching upon the next question, and that's what are the consequences of disinformation that you've personally seen, either in Armenia, Ukraine, the Middle East, or from your military background experience?
Yeah, so in war, all governments and militaries use disinformation or propaganda.